They left school for a wild night lifestyle. What happened to them next will shock you. Hi fam! Welcome to Queen of Afro Tales. If you're just tuning in to this channel for the first time, please subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up and tell us where you're watching from. Chidimma Grace Ud was wrapped in the finest things life could offer from the moment she was born into the family of Chief John and Lolo Joyce MBA as their first child. She was raised in a fortress of supervision and luxury. Her father, a wealthy importer of motor spare parts, walked the streets in rubber slippers and faded shirts, but his bank account is long like River Niger. Her mother, Joyce, ran a high-end boutique in Surulere, dealing in imported laces and gold jewelry, with a loud laugh and a louder wardrobe. Their mansion in Amuwo Odofin screamed wealth. Yet inside its marbled walls, Chidimma lived a life of routines and restrictions. She wasn't allowed to visit friends unsupervised. Every outing was monitored. Every device was password protected. She read novels, solved puzzles, and listened to gospel music, while her peers moved from one classmate's house to another. She ironed her school uniforms, practiced piano scales, and spent quality time with her siblings. Daika, her immediate younger brother who was 9 and claimed to be the future Wizkid, Samtu, her second brother who was 6, and asked questions like a baby professor, and her little sister Chisholm, who was 3 and wore only pink dresses as a princess she claimed to be. Chidimma helped them write their assignments, taught them mathematics, and also read storybooks to them. Her life was scheduled like Nico timetable. 6:30 a.m. Wake up. 6 a.m. Morning devotion. 6:30 a.m. Breakfast. 7 a.m. School. 3 p.m. Return. 4 p.m. Piano lessons or reading. 8 p.m. Bedtime. Her parents gave her no access to phone, social media, unnecessary friendships, and sleepovers. She was so good with learning new words that she could spell otorhinolaryngologist, always read her books, and represented her school in debates and competition. In fact, she was that child whose oversabi character made her shout, "That's wrong," when correcting everyone around her who pronounced words the wrong way. She's focused, her father would say proudly. A real woman doesn't need noise. Let others chase men. You chase character. Her mother constantly told her, "You're not just any girl. You're a reflection of our name. If they mention UD in public, it should smell like responsibility and success." If there was anything her parents bragged about more than their boutique and spare parts business, it was Chidimma, their star girl. Their shoulder pads were ever high because of how proud she made them in her academics, moral, and etiquettes. They believe in the saying that a first child sets the pace for the character of other children, and had come to see it play out in the lives of their kids. Chidimma also solved maths like it was comedy. Her handwriting looked eligible and fine like that of an adult trained in calligraphy, and she was the favorite pupil of her teachers. At 12, she passed the entrance exam into one of the prestigious schools in Nigeria, Excellent Girls College, Abuja, which was no surprise to anyone who knows her academic prowess. When the news of her admission got to her parents, they were elated with joy. Joyce, her mother, danced. "High flyer school, my baby. Chinik, God I thank you." And her father excitedly hugged her and exclaimed, "8 a.m. Thank you for making me proud. I promise to train you to the highest level of education in this life. I will send you to Harvard for university education. All you have to do is to keep your academic flags high and continue being a good girl." Our first star. Joyce beamed. She's going to represent this family well. A night before she left home for school, her mother held her hands and cautioned, "Don't follow bad friends. Don't open your legs for any boy. Focus on your books. Be the light for your brothers and sister, as you have always been, and make us proud. Remember whose daughter you are in everything you do. Always remember who you are. Never envy the noise. Be the light. Please don't disappoint us, her father added. Yes, Mummy. Yes, Daddy. I promise to make you proud, she assured them. The next morning, her parents boarded a flight with her to Abuja, then dropped her off at the school for proper documentation and admission, after which they flew back to Lagos, trusting the well-being of their daughter into the hands of the school management. Her mother's tearful prayers and her father's blessing trailed behind her as she tearfully walked into the school dormitory. JSS 1 to JSS 3 was a smooth journey for Chidimma as she kept her head down and studied diligently. She won inter-house competitions, led the debate team, earned teachers' affection and students' respect. She was the girl you asked for help with algebra, not for gossip or gist. But all that changed in SS1 when she was reassigned into room B12 in Tafawa Balewa Hostel. There she met Osas, Fola, and Aisha, three girls whose confidence entered the room before they did. They were daughters of wealthy politicians and oil tycoons. Their hairstyles were always freshly done. They wore illegal anklets and lip gloss that shimmered under dormitory bulbs. They didn't just bend rules, they rewrote them. By day, they wore uniforms like every other girl. By night, they transformed into urban sirens and they had it all planned. Smartphones hidden inside sanitary pad packs. Makeup kits disguised as biology sets and heels and mini skirts buried deep in beverage packets in their lockers. On Fridays, they'd scale the fence and sneak out behind the dining hall. An Okada man named Biggie waited for them. Always on time, always paid in advance. Their destinations? Blue Velvet, Club Quarters, and Cloud 9 Lounge. Places that played music louder than parental advice and any other happening joints that caught their attention and vibes. They danced, smoked flavored shisha, drank cocktails they couldn't pronounce. Men, younger and older men, bought them drinks, slipped cash into their clutches, whispered sweet traps into their ears, steady as attractive and beautiful girls they were. Sometimes, they went home with those men. Just one night, Osas would say, lighting a stick of menthol. He's clean, and rich, and fine, and his car has AC in the back seat, Fola would add. Unlike these school buses with broken windows. Sometimes they just party hard in the club. Nevertheless, one thing was constant. They were usually dropped off just before morning prayers, sneaking back into the dorm with smudged mascara and perfume trails. Chidimma watched it all with a mix of fear and fascination. She kept her distance, until they noticed her and her loud innocence. Chi-Chi, you day form Virgin Mary? Aisha teased one night. A beg shift. Bookworm. You 2 day carry book, Fola added. Seriously, you know day tire? Abi she one marry angel, Osas mocked. This one no sabi life. Book no go teach you how to twist waist and handle men. They started calling her Chi the Reverend Sister. They left her out of late-night food orders, refused to share their body mist, and rolled eyes when she answered questions in class. Gradually, the teasing turned to pressure. Look at you, Osas said during prep one day. All A's but no experience. You don't know what it feels like to be complimented by a man. To wear something that makes you feel seen. To be admired. Freedom is not evil, Chi, Fola added. Your parents have given you money, but you don't know what to do with it. For months, Chidimma resisted, but curiosity grew teeth, and loneliness dug into her skin. One evening, she found herself staring into a mirror with Osas standing behind her, curling her wig. You'd be so pretty if you let go a little, Osas said gently. One night won't kill you. That night, her resistance broke. Tonight is your coronation. You're not just Chi-Chi the class genius. You're Chi-Chi the hot babe. I don't know how to dance, Chidimma whispered, trying to retreat. We'll teach you. Just wear this. She handed her a red dress. Chidimma stared at it like it might bite. The girls did her makeup, laid her baby hair, and even sprayed perfume in her bra. You'll thank us later, Aisha said. But just in case, carry tissue. Sometimes the club toilets are demonic, Fola added. By midnight, they hopped on Biggie and his friends Okada, their trusted getaway Uber, and headed to Blue Velvet Lounge. At the club, the music was so loud that it echoed from the ground up. Chidima stood still at first, her brain trying to adjust to the flashing lights, fog machines, and the smell of sweat, alcohol, drugs, and temptation. She looked like a different girl. A girl who finally wanted to close her mind to keeping the rules and feel the world of fun. Relax, Osas whispered. You're not here to preach. You're here to vibe and loosen up. Inside the club, they danced, laughed, drank energy drinks and shots that tasted like fire. Nevertheless, her worries and constant whining for them to go back to the school cut short their clubbing for that day. She followed them to the club again the next Friday and several Fridays after until she stopped feeling guilty about the whole thing. In fact, she could now whine her waist to the Afro beats while dancing with random men at the clubs, although she was yet to see anyone she was attracted enough to call a boyfriend like her friends do. One fateful Friday night after their inter-house sports, they sneaked out to the latest spot in town, Qdaba Club. 20 minutes later, Aisha was dancing with her man Flavor for the night. Osas was smoking shisha pot by the side, while Chidima seductively danced to the beat on the dance floor. Then he appeared, a tall, dark and handsome young man in his early 20s who smelled like expensive perfume. He leaned close to Chidima and whispered, "Hey, beautiful firecracker. I'm Damien. I've been watching you from the VIP lounge over there, and I must confess that I like you. Can I buy you a drink?" She smiled. "Sure." They talked, danced, and he sprayed her money and whispered sweet nothings into her ears. "Let's go somewhere calm, preferably my home if you don't mind," he finally offered. She hesitated, then moved back to her friends to discuss the offer, and they cheered her on. "Go girl. Go have a wonderful time like we do every Friday night, and see what you've been missing all this while," they chorused. The voice of her father filled with pride. Hope and plans for her kept ringing in her mind. But she silenced it, walked up to Damien and muttered, "Let's go." And they left hand in hand. She hopped into his sleek GLK 2025 Mercedes-Benz excited. The drive out of the club was smooth and quiet. Too quiet even for her liking. Before she could blink, he took a new turn that had only bushes and trees by both sides with no houses in view. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Just a place I stay sometimes. It's safe and private. You'll love it," he answered as he steered the car silently into the road like a shadow on water. She sat beside him, nervous but trying not to show it. Her silver heels pinched her toes. Her throat was dry. Her stomach twisted with a strange cocktail of fear and something darker. He didn't touch her still. Instead, he looked at her strangely, and that scared her even more. However, they entered the compound, and everywhere was quiet with no signs of either a gate man or a security dog. Just one dim security bulb flickering like it wasn't sure it wanted to stay on. Her stomach began to quiver with fear, and her senses became alert with suspense. Then he unlocked the door and ushered her in. The living room was empty. No chairs, no television, just a center rug. Curtains shut tight like the house was hiding something. And then, a smell hit her like the smell of a rotten rat. It wasn't fresh. It wasn't food. It was metal. Dampness. Like wet blood that had overstayed its welcome. "Why is it so dark?" she asked, voice trembling. "Generators down," he replied casually. "But we don't need light to have fun, do we?" She froze. Her feet refused to move. Then, she noticed the back door slightly open, and behind it, something lying still on the tiled floor. She blinked. Once. Twice. Was that a hand? She stepped closer. Slowly, like her soul already knew what her eyes were about to see. The light from her phone screen grazed the object. She gasped. It was an unalived young girl whose eyes were wide open, mouth slightly parted in terror, her private parts missing and her lower body soaked in dark blood. Chidima tried to scream, but the scream that rose inside her throat never made it out. Her body turned ice, but she turned slowly to him, standing there while watching her with amusement in his eyes. All the charms and gentleness she saw in him earlier disappeared. All she could see in him at that moment was soulless and ruthless intent. You shouldn't have seen that. At least not before I have fun with you. He sneered. Dabu, who is she? Chidima whispered, stepping back. She didn't listen, he replied. Neither will you. Immediately he lunged at her. Chidima ducked, screamed, ran toward the dining space. Her heel broke and she fell and scraped her elbow. He grabbed her braids and dragged her on the floor towards the room while she wailed loudly, then turned and clawed at his face. He roared and suddenly dropped her like a bag of pins. She then spotted a ceramic flower vase by the side, grabbed it, and smashed it on his head. He staggered, and she ran, desperately trying so many doors to open for her escape. Kitchen, lock. Bedroom, empty. Then, a back exit, padlocked. She turned. He was limping toward her now, blood trailing from his forehead. Ashawo, you're making this harder than it has to be, he shouted with venom. Just come here. Let's do what we're here for. You'll have to unalive me first, she yelled, her voice finally coming alive. He smirked. Exactly. Then she saw it. A bottle of spirit and matches on a low stool. An idea sparked. She grabbed both, flung the spirit at him, lit the match and waved it threateningly. I will burn this house to the ground. He paused, then laughed out loud. You can't! Try me. He lunged again, and she threw the lit match. The spirit on the rug flamed up. Not an explosion, but enough fire to start panic. He screamed and stumbled backward. She kicked open the back door with one barefoot leg, screamed for help at the top of her lungs. But no one could hear her. She was in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. The moment her heel cracked the back door open, the smell of smoke followed her out. The house behind her flickered with small flames from the rug. She had set alight with spirit and a match. He was still inside, yelling, coughing, angry. But Chidima had no time to celebrate. She could hear him heading towards the direction of the door she kicked open. So, she ran to the back of the building, looked around and saw no gate, just a tall fence, and beyond it, complete blackness. Immediately, she grabbed a discarded stool, pushed it to the fence, and climbed, barefoot, legs trembling, palms sweaty. The barbed wire grazed her thigh, but she didn't stop. She flung herself over the fence with a precision that would put the world high jump winner to shame, and landed in wild grass. Hard branches scratched her skin. The ground felt alive. Insects, thorns, broken glass? She didn't know. She didn't care. She stood up and saw nothing but thick forest and trees. She panicked. Where exactly is this place? Where am I? Then she heard his voice again from inside. You can't run far. I will catch you and bring you back here. That statement caused adrenaline to be pumped through her. Then she ran like Toby Amusin would on the racetrack. All thanks to her athletic performance at the just concluded inter-house sports in school. It was still early in the morning. That time when night hadn't fully ended, but morning hadn't fully begun. Mist clung to the trees like secrets. Crickets still chirped. The moon? Barely visible. Yet, she ran. Branches slapped her face. Thorns stabbed her feet. At some point, she slipped and rolled downhill into a muddy patch. Her leg twisted, but she limped forward. She didn't scream. She couldn't afford to. Birds flew off as she passed. A rabbit darted past her. Everything about the forest felt like it was watching her. Just keep moving. Just keep moving. She whispered it like a chant. Like prayer. No one knew where she was. The phone was gone. She had no idea where she was heading. Please God, let someone find me. Let me wake up from this. But this was not a dream. After what felt like eternity, the sky began to shift. Dark blue turned to cloudy white. Cloudy white to dawn. The forest lightened. Chidima's legs wobbled. Her voice was hoarse from silent crying. And then she saw it. A road. A tiny pathway that showed people walk through it. Help! Help me! Please! A dog started barking. Yet no one came to her. A woman peeked at Chidima from her window, and on seeing her barefooted with bleeding legs and a torn dress, quickly shut her window. Chidima had seen death, and stared it in the face. Now all she wanted was to get home safe. Somebody help me, she cried as she journeyed the narrow path. Fortunately, she got to the end of the narrow path and saw a highway. There she lay down weakly. Tears streamed down her face as she hopefully waited, hoping to see a helper. A few minutes later, no one passed. Then, an old pickup truck rolled by, slowing down as the driver spotted her figure by the roadside. A middle-aged man in a faded cap jumped out. Hey, are you okay? Who are you, and what are you doing here at this hour? She looked up, her lips cracked, eyes swollen. Please, help me. He tried to kill me. Who tried to kill? Who are you? I'm Chief MBA's daughter. Please help me. Chief MBA, the spare parts boss from Latipo? Yes, I'm his daughter. Sir, please take me to my daddy. I don't know my way home from here. The man didn't ask further questions. He opened his vehicle and ushered Chidima in immediately. Don't worry, my daughter. You're safe now. I know your father. He's a good man, and I will take you to him right away. She sobbed, holding the seatbelt like her lifeline. And as the truck rolled forward, the trees disappeared behind her. But the fear, the fight, and the fire remained. She had escaped, but something inside her had changed forever. The truck sped through streets and silence. Chidima didn't speak. The driver kept glancing at her through his mirror. She kept shaking as tears streamed down her face without invitation. Every time the wind blew her hair back, the image of that dead girl flashed in her head. The girl's wide-opened eyes, her blood, and the missing private parts. She wasn't just running from a house. She was running from the memory also. At exactly 8:17 a.m., the black gate of the MBA mansion in Amuo Odafin shook. The gateman, Mr. Usman, opened it with annoyance. Who dare disturb my gate like that? It's me, Chidima. Small madam. Small madam? He quickly opened the gate and shouted in shock. Hey, Chidima. Wallahi. Oga. Madam, come oh. Joyce, in her satin robe, hurriedly ran to the gate in panic. She saw her daughter, bruised, barefoot, torn dress, mascara down her cheeks, lips bleeding, and screamed, "My baby! Jesus! Ajani!" Chief John was in the living room watching the news. Immediately he heard his wife shout. He stepped outside and time slowed. His daughter, his baby, standing at the gate like a ghost. She looked up and shouted, "Daddy!" He walked forward, slowly, his hands trembling, and his daughter collapsed into his arms sobbing. He tried to unalive me. There was another girl. She was already dead. Joyce dropped to the floor, hugging both of them. God, you brought my daughter back. Jesus, you brought her back alive. Even the maids wept. The compound fell silent except for Chidima's sobs and the sound of 3 hearts beating in confusion and relief. She was home and alive. Meanwhile, that same morning, the sun rose. But for Excellent Girls College Abuja, it didn't shine. By 9:30 a.m., the principal Stella summoned the whole students in Tafawa Balua dormitory. She stood at the front of the conference hall, hands on hips, voice like a blade. Let me ask again. Who knew where Chidima went last night? Osis folded her arms. Aisha crossed her legs while Fola looked at her fingernails. We don't know, Ma, everyone chorused. Aisha, Fola, and Osis. You girls are her roommates and are liable to give us details about her whereabouts last night. So I ask, how did Chidima leave your room last night and none of you noticed? She was on her bed last night before I slept off, only to wake up this morning and she was nowhere to be found. Fola answered. She was in the room when I slept off, Aisha added. We didn't know when she left. Liars! Screamed a JSS 3 girl from the corner. I saw the three of you dressing Chidima up, applying lip gloss and fixing fake eyelashes for her late last night, when you thought we were all asleep. And you left with her too. But you sneaked into the hostel this morning without her. The whole room gasped. Silence! The principal shouted. You girls will not destroy this school's name with your dirty lifestyles and fake innocence. You're suspended pending investigation. Chief John sat on his leather chair, sipping warm tea while reading through some supplier's files. Joyce was at the dining table, flipping through old-school documents, trying to distract herself from the wave of thoughts crashing in her mind. Then Chidima came down the stairs. She wore a simple wrapper and a plain top. No earrings, no wig, no perfume, just her bare face, and a heart full of remorse. She walked slowly into the room, stopped halfway, and knelt. Her voice was shaky. Mummy, please forgive me. They both turned. Joyce stood up immediately. No, don't kneel, my child. You are not a criminal. I need to kneel, Mummy, she said, voice cracking. I need to because I was warned. You taught me well. You gave me everything. I had no reason to envy anyone, but I let them push me. I let them mock me into darkness. She paused, tears flooding her face. I felt like I had to prove something, that I wasn't boring, that I could be fun too, but I lost my way, and I almost lost my life. Joyce was already crying, shaking her head. It's okay, baby. You're home. You came back. That's what matters. No, Mummy, she pressed. It's not okay. I saw someone die. A girl like me. She didn't come home. Her mother is probably still waiting for her. I saw what could have happened, and I'm sorry for putting you both through that. She turned to Chief, whose eyes had quietly welled up. Daddy, please say something. Chief closed his file and walked to her. He held her shoulders. You are my daughter. You made a mistake. Yes, but what matters is that you ran home. You didn't stay there. You chose to come back. And as long as I'm alive, my door will always be open for you. They pulled her into a tight hug. Father, mother, daughter. The house, for the first time in weeks, felt like a home again. However, Chidima never returned to boarding school. She continued her education from home, commuting every day with her driver and coming straight back into her mother's arms. Thank you for watching. What do you think of this story? Do share your thoughts with me in the comments section.